Today's video is brought to you by FanDuel's Player of the Day, who magically forgot how to play defense whatsoever. How much money did you have riding on whether or not this player would magically forget how to play defense? Details at the end of the video. Do I dare? Do I dare torture myself? You know, it doesn't take much to set me off. Do you see what it says? LeBron would never let the Rockets come back. Oh boy. Like, I don't even have to watch this episode. That alone has given me an entire episode worth of ammunition. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this text is about Nick Wright saying something in the show to the effect of LeBron James is too great of a player to ever allow something like this to happen. Listen, if that's true, if LeBron is that type of person, that type of athlete, that type of competitor, then the following things that I'm about to say should also be true. LeBron would never allow himself to be swept on the biggest stage, the NBA Finals. LeBron would never allow himself to be swept on the biggest stage again. I mean, the first time maybe, but not again. Not in what many fanboys say was his best year. Okay, LeBron would never allow himself, after all of that, to get swept on the second biggest stage, the Western Conference Finals. Not with all that past playoff experience, not as a seasoned veteran. None of that could have happened, Nick Wright, because a guy who won't allow humiliating defeats couldn't have allowed the most humiliating defeat possible to have taken place 3 times throughout his career at different stages of his career. Could he?
But wait! There's more!
In addition to those 3 finals sweeps, he has been gentleman swept in the finals in 2014, gentleman swept in the finals in 2017, gentleman swept in the playoffs in 2024, gentleman swept again in the playoffs in 2025. I was tempted to skip this part because it's so offensively stupid to people who have working brain cells, but since there's a big population of those brain-dead LeBron cultists out there who are so excited that Jordan was swept in 3-game series, not 4, 3-game series, in his second and third season in the first round against the would then be champions Boston Celtics. Let's talk about that for a moment. No one wants to get swept, but in the first round, the number 8 seed meeting the number 1 seed, who would go on to be the NBA champions, and getting swept like that is not the same thing as making it to the NBA Finals and being swept on the biggest stage. Michael Jordan put up historic performances, inspiring performances, and went down fighting. LeBron went out like a bitch. There was no question watching those playoffs against the Celtics that Michael Jordan was the best player on his team. When LeBron James got swept, not only was his help so extreme, so over the top, so loaded, that there's a strong argument that he was never the best player on any of those teams. In multiple cases, it was LeBron's performance that led to those sweeps. Not the teammates, not LeBron not being good enough to overcome his lackluster teammates. No, LeBron himself being the reason that they were swept. Now I want to go back to the Nuggets sweeping and gentleman sweeping LeBron James. Why? Well, because after the first sweep, there was a lot of talk in the offseason and a lot of anticipation from people to see LeBron James get his revenge. If LeBron James was the type of player that Nick Wright is claiming that he is, he would never have allowed himself to get gentleman swept by the very same team that he was talking smack and talking revenge about meeting again the next year, only to get slapped around again. Every single one of these is something that a great should never allow happen. Never. Once. It's happened 7 times on his watch throughout his career. As embarrassing as all of those examples are, I think there's a worse one. Yes, even worse than those. 2011, the 4-2 loss. It wasn't a sweep, it wasn't a gentleman's sweep, but it was a collapse. It was an embarrassing collapse. And it was a collapse when his team had an unfair advantage. And this is a case in which I can, without any question whatsoever, say that the team was so loaded, and LeBron James getting all the praise that he was getting, the team was so loaded that he still wasn't the best player on the team. But he was the worst player in the finals. The Miami Heat lost because of LeBron James. Period. 7 seasons in, no excuses left. Stacked team, veteran help, superstar help, a previous NBA Finals under his belt to use as experience. No. Anyone who allows this to happen is not the type of person who gets to say, I'm not going to allow that to happen. The fanboy cult has a never-ending list of excuses. But you know what? Someone who gets to claim, I would never let that happen, is not the type of person who has a never-ending list of excuses. Now, looking at the Rockets, LeBron should have never allowed this series to be as close as it was if he was capable of allowing or disallowing things. LeBron James did everything someone could to lose Game 3. And the Rockets went out and shit the bed than LeBron James shitting the bed. It was a bed shitting contest. And then, after being blessed with the saving grace, the miracle of winning Game 3 despite your terrible performance, you go out and lose Game 4 and 5. You don't get to talk about what LeBron James will allow or disallow when the only reason that they won Game 1 is because of this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. And absolutely not this guy. You won Game 2 because of this guy, who is in your pocket. Plain as day. When you commit 23 turnovers yourself in 5 games, you don't get to say that that player isn't going to allow the other team to win. That player is the most likely reason that the other team will win or could win. The vast majority of those turnovers, and I did show them in my previous videos, the vast majority of those turnovers led to points for the other team. Some of them were even 3-pointers. But let's just say that they were 2-pointers. That's 46 points that LeBron James alone gave up in turnovers to the other team. And that's before calculating in the possibility of some of them being 3-pointers, which would have made it an even larger number. But those 46 points on one end are only the beginning. You also have to subtract 46 points from your own team's score because of those turnovers. That's 92 points the wrong way because of one player. So Nick Wright, if anyone didn't allow it, it was all of LeBron James's teammates making up for the points that he was giving up to the other team. Anyway, let's get to our FanDuel sellout of the night. Now let's take a look at one play from Game 6 that stood out to me. Well, a few did, but somebody explain this one. And I genuinely wish I could hear people so that I had somewhere to begin, because I just don't understand this at all. This is bad acting by the defender, pretending like that. That doesn't look like you're actually trying to stop someone. Let's look at this again. When does he ever... What is happening? And he just stays like that. And then, oh, well, oops, I guess he is going to score. Gee, shucks. You can't actually be that bad of a defender. Like, you actually can't unless you're trying to be. This is the type of shit where you're like, he's on the Clutch payroll, or Ime needs to be fired, because you can't have someone out there who's that bad. None of us we'd get taken out of the game. We would never go back in. But this guy stays in, and he's guilty of more of this crap. Here we go. Same guy. Let's just call this the usual suspects, the Clutch payroll defense. I mean, LeBron just performed the slowest spin move ever executed in the history of the NBA. Well, besides his previous spin moves, in which no one defends. Come on, Eason. You look like a crippled old man. Move. Come on. It's impossible. And of course, LeBron James was busy celebrating himself on the sideline. Only someone as psycho as him would celebrate scoring on someone who was paid to let him score on him. Yeah, man, that bitch let me score on him, just like the script says. I'm so proud of myself. Speaking of being proud of himself, even if we take the Clutch conspiracy out of it, this is worth this level of celebration? Come on. Oh, next basket. Oh, look who it is. It's Eason. Jesus. You can't even qualify that as acting. Like, I wouldn't even call it bad acting, because acting would have to be involved to call it bad acting. That's a carry, by the way, but, you know, we're tired of talking about all the carries that everyone gets away with. I'm focusing on Clutch Sports, Eason. All right, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment.